Hi everyone, my name is Martha. I'm a relationship counselor and clinical sexologist. And a few days ago, I was making a video and I started to talk about my books and the differences between my books. And I got immediately, in the next 24 hours, I got 2 new orders for 2 of my different books. And of course, people can order through Amazon, but this time they were ordering the books through my site. So I realized that I actually never made a video about my books. And so in today's video, I wanted to share with you my books and also the upcoming book that I am also working on. So these are my 4 books. I'm going to go through each one of them. So the first one that I created is really a compilation of different essays over the years. This was when I was already in practice, I believe for 3 to 5 years, I can't remember. And this is a compilation of the different essays, and this was published by Marshall Cavendish, and it's still published by Marshall Cavendish. It's still with them. And so I have the print version and also the Kindle version. And last year it was translated into Vietnamese language. So I'm also getting royalties from there. Very, very grateful. So it's a very, very safe introduction to sex and sexuality. And it's a really, really good book for beginners. Subsequently, 2 years later, I published this book, Orgasmic Yoga. Orgasmic Yoga is a practice where you self-pleasure for 30 minutes and you're encouraged to do self-pleasure for 30 minutes for 30 days. And it talks about the link between masturbation, meditation, and everything in between. So one is the doing and one is the being. And you know how meditation is anything that you kind of just drop into not thinking. So with orgasmic yoga, if you do something for a prolonged period of time, say running or drawing, you do get into kind of like a zen bliss state of no thinking. And orgasmic yoga is a great way to break masturbation habits and patterns and to form new ones, so that you have more access to pleasure and sexual mastery in your life. And orgasmic yoga is a practice that was developed by Joseph Kramer, and he's a very, very famous sex educator, and his background is in massage and he's spiritual, and he's the pioneer when it comes to sexuality, somatic sexual education, somatic meaning body-based. It is so I'm trained in sexological body work, but in my work, I don't do hands-on work. I just teach. I teach. And in Singapore, I teach using sexual aids like a dildo or a vulva cushion. There's no nudity in my work in Singapore. And when I created Orgasmic Yoga, the book, I asked Joseph for permission. And as far as I understand, I'm probably one of the few of his students who actually made it into a book. And my colleagues who are sexological body workers love this book as well. In this book, there are pictures and quotes and interviews and also 30 practices to become more comfortable with your sexuality. And the 30 practices can be for people with penises and with vulvas. So the way it was written is when on the days that there's no specification about the genitals or gender or sexual orientation, it means that it's for people regardless of gender. And so I got this review on Amazon. This person was attacking me and saying that I didn't have practices for people with vaginas, and I was like, you're not getting it. The practices are actually all there anyway. You know how in Amazon reviews you can't reply? So frustrating. So that's my second book, Orgasmic Yoga, really transformational and really scary. It was so scary for me to write this book because I was so afraid of being judged. And from a very vanilla, very prim and proper kind of a book to going back to my publisher and say, would you publish this book? And they go, no, there's no demand. So that was my first attempt to self-publish. I had to publish this book. And I actually went into some kind of a depression that year, and I developed birthing pains. Like I had pains in my stomach when I was writing this book. All this fear started to coming up. Like people don't know this, right? I'm just sharing with you. This fear came up when I was doing this book. I was so scared of being publicly persecuted, like killed again and again and again by the judgments. But you know what? It didn't happen. It was really a book that I had to publish. So this was a book that's like everybody's saying, get a book, get a book, get a book. So this was like the need book, and this was like a want book. This was a want. It was a strong, I must do this. And then the next book was a very personal book. So having become more brave, I became even braver. It took me about a year as well to pull all this together. It's a compilation of all the different stories that I've written over the years, but also new ones. Because in my work, I cannot share client stories. So I put all my personal stories over the years into this book, From Princess to Queen. And really, it is very related to how I was when I was a younger person. Even though I don't come from a rich family, I behave like a very typical princess, all entitled and self-righteous. And with time and maturity and heartaches and pains, I learned to grow into my power and womanhood and femininity and step into being a queen. A queen has power and authority. A princess doesn't. A princess is willful, childish, does whatever she wants. But with great power comes great influence. And so this book is many, many different personal stories, and each chapter there's a personal story, and at the end of each chapter there are practical tips. The intention is to support people through stories and through sharing of practical things that they can do for those people who are clueless, like for instance how to masturbate. This book doesn't pretend to be everything, but this book tries to be supportive. In my work, a lot of telling is not really working, and so this book tries to be much more from the heart and from the guts, from the soul. And as you can tell from the cover, it's very much connected to female sexuality, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. It also helps people to better understand people of the opposite gender. Um, and I think it helps with all of us because some of these things actually people with penises go through as well. And I had one person write to me and say she was laughing and crying with me in this book. And that was exactly my intention, to share so bravely and vulnerably that our stories do parallel. My stories may not be your story, but there will definitely be similarities because we go through this journey of trying to figure out what is sex and sexuality, and it's messy and convoluted and awkward and embarrassing. It's all in this book. This is my fourth book, and this book is called Uninhibited. It comes with a apparatus, uninhibited. So first you are inhibited, and then you get uninhibited, and then becoming uninhibited is also a process of inhibitation. This is my fourth book, it's a book that I've wanted to publish since I became a sexologist. So even before I was a sexologist, I really wanted to get this book done. And what happened was, in my work, because I'm a sex educator, I started to collect books that might help my clients in sessions. And I collected several vulva photographs and pictures and depictions, but none were of Asians. And maybe people will be like, you can just Google online. My clients would need this book the most. I'm not going to Google images of porn. And I wanted something that was tasteful, gentle, beautiful, inviting. And so this is a photo book that I did in collaboration with Calvin Lim. I did the text. I was present for all the interviews and the shoots. And this book doesn't contain all the interviews. The website contains all the interviews. So we wanted to create a medium where the website and the book kind of worked with each other. The website has all the interviews, the book has all the images, and the book has quotes from the different vulva models that we have. Okay, and of course one of them is me. You get a prize if you can guess which one is me. This book is banned in Singapore. Is banned. I cannot sell this book. So when we got this book done, everybody was asking, "Are you sure this is legal?" So we wrote to the government and we showed them the book, and they took forever to get back to us. So much so that we didn't hear from them even after the book launch, and they warned us that you can't sell the book. You haven't gotten approval yet. What are you doing? So we were very careful. We just stopped talking about the book, and so later on, finally, the government said, "You, why do I publish this book? What do I want to use this for? Who is this book for?" So after answering all those questions, it just came about that we are not allowed to sell this book. We are not allowed to promote this book. We are not allowed to. I'm not allowed to display this book in my events. I'm only allowed to show this to my clients, so I can't sell this book. So the way you can get this book is you can write to me, and if you buy it from outside of Singapore, I can sell it to you, but not to anybody inside Singapore. And I can't even show this to people who are not my clients. I can't show this in my workshops either, technically. So we tried to write to Amazon, because of course Amazon is a really big book publisher, and you can do print on demand books through Amazon. So we submitted everything more than once, and they wrote to us and said, how do we know that you have the copyright of this book? So we sent them the release forms of all the models, and even then they still rejected this book. So there are other platforms we can try to publish this book so that this book can have an international audience. But when we printed this book, we didn't print many copies, and then if there's no demand, then how can we, it doesn't make sense to print more or to push really hard, because every platform will have different specifications of how you submit the book, and it's just a lot of work. Considering that me and Kelvin, the photographer, we work for ourselves, we don't have staff. I do have an assistant, but she's virtual. But when it comes to things like these, like sometimes I really need to go in and sort it out. So a lot of time. And so what I can say about this book is this is like my lost child. I feel a lot of grief around this book, a lot of pain, because when I did this book, I really did it. I did it for my people. I did it for Singaporeans, for my people, Asians, because I have been in practice for 11 years, and the biggest issue, sex issue that I work with people with is vaginismus, which is a condition where the person with a vagina has a phobia of penetration, and it's linked to fear of pain. And this fear of pain has a lot to do with ignorance and discomfort around their own bodies, and not understanding sometimes, like, where's the vagina, uh, how do I get an orgasm, what do Asian vulvas look like, do I look normal? These are very, very personal and intimate questions that if a book had it, they get the education and they also get the sexual healing. And that was the whole premise of wanting to do this book. We had the purest intention, and we did it in the educational, loving, tasteful way. But I guess Singapore, being Singapore, was afraid of it being a book passed from person to person to person, and then being treated as obscene and pornographic and hurting people. So these are my 4 books. Love, Sex, and Everything in Between, Orgasmic Yoga, Masturbation, Meditation, and Everything in Between, From Princess to Queen, Heartbreaks, Heartgasms, and Everything in Between, and Uninhibited, without the subtitle of Everything in Between. It's just a very, very different book that I love. You can feel, right? I don't know whether you can feel it, the grief that's still inside me. So these are the 4 books that I have, and of the 4 books, 3 of them you can get on Amazon. So let me share with you a little bit about my 5th book. My 5th book that I'm working on, I'm going to be doing crowdfunding for it. I'm not sure when. Let me be a little bit further along with my writing, because with this coronavirus epidemic, I don't think it's a good idea to be doing crowdfunding. It just doesn't feel good. Like, people are really scared and nervous financially and emotionally, and they're retreating inside. That's why it feels good to release resources that are free, and like Facebook groups and discounted sessions and free 10-minute consults. That's what I'm offering at this moment for now. However, the 5th book, I think I just want to be further along with my writing and before I launch the crowdfunding. So yeah, my 5th book. So what is my 5th book? Let me share with you the book cover. Okay, share. So these are my 4 books. Once again, you can go to my website, that's Eros Coaching. Under profiles, you can see all the hyperlinks to each of the book, and that is where the link is there for you to purchase these books. You can buy the books from me, or you can buy the 3 books from Amazon. Yeah. Okay, now how do I get out? Sorry. Okay, then now I want to show you the book cover for my 5th book. My 5th book, Sex 365, Tips, Trivia, and Everything in Between. So it's more of a light-hearted book, and it's going to contain tips, trivia, and everything in between. So it's more of a light-hearted, fun book. And of course, there's going to be 365 tips, trivia, and jokes, and little fun things that I want to share with people. I don't want such a serious book anymore, because it's serious, not everything has to be so serious in life. So this is going to be how the book looks like. At least this is the cover. What do you think? Do you have any feedback, any thoughts? I would love to hear from you. So this is Martha. I'm going to share the link below to how you can get my books and check out my work. The best way to keep in touch with me is really by subscribing to my mailing list. That's eroscoaching.com. That's where I feel that it's more of a private space, even though it goes into your mailbox. I open up more. I share things that I don't usually share publicly because just it's just very exposed. Also, if you like to ask me questions relating to sex and sexuality, you don't really want a session with me, I encourage you to support me on Patreon. And I'm taking questions there and I'm answering them. Of course, people are reaching out to me all the time and asking me questions. But I have 800 videos on YouTube, and many of the questions that are being asked are questions that I have answered many, many times. And I just wish, like, have some initiative. You want something free, then look it up. Look up on my channel. It's there. If it's not there and you want to support my work, join me on Patreon. If you want to gain more knowledge, get my books. If you want to learn something more in-depth from me, check out my online programs. I have 6 and I'm creating more. And I have many downloadables that are free. I have so much free content that I'm offering. Do you realize I do this for a living? Do you realize that I'm doing this full time? This is not a hobby. This is not a passion project. I have many projects, but I actually need to make a living. So please have some respect. People just writing to me and not even introducing themselves, writing to me in broken English, and it just feels really disrespectful. Um, and I just need to keep coming back to my center of being loving. So I love you. I love all of you. I'm sorry if I ever hurt you. Please forgive me. And thank you, everyone. Thank you for everything, for your presence, for your support. We need each other, okay? Just because I'm a sex coach, sex counselor, uh, know many things about relationships and people, it doesn't mean that I'm better than you. I'm still of service. We are still all connected. And I can help you in specific ways. But be nice. I try to be nice, and it will be nice if people are nice too. We all be nice to one another, especially during this time. So please share my downloadables, share my work. You can support me even if you don't buy anything from me. You can still support me. Encouraging and positive, supportive messages. They do reach through the computer screen and give me a little bit of light and hope. So thank you everybody for showing up in with your most beautiful selves, and it really does help me to continue in my work. So yeah, thank you for watching this video, and subscribe to my work, eroscoaching.com. Thank you. Bye.